Guyana is set to host second Yatin Rally. City cleanup program continues and multi-million-dollar labs commission at Monrepo. You're watching Weekly Digest, a production of the Government Information Agency that keeps you up to date on what the government has been doing. With the details, I'm your host, Vinaya Tumeshwar. Agriculture in Guyana is taking on a different dimension, with millions of dollars being invested to incorporate more science and technology into the sector. Given the significant contribution that agriculture makes to the national economy, investments like the recently commissioned biological control and tissue culture labs are seen as necessary. This has been the view of the administration for over 50 years.
Over the last 20 years, we have made significant progress. And with each decade, we move the process a little faster. In the period 2000 to 2010, significant progress was made. And in the period since 2010 to now, we are seeing further concretization of the vision to make science and agriculture contribute meaningfully to our development, improving the lives of our people.
The ministry is now looking to establish a comprehensive national soil testing lab in partnership with the Guyana Sugar Corporation. Remarkable achievements have also been made in the area of pest and disease control as a result of advancements in scientific research by local experts.
The agriculturalists in Guyana have done an excellent job, because carambola fruit fly has not destroyed our agriculture industry. Black sigatoka has had major impact in other countries. We are able to manage it. Guyana is free of foot and mouth disease. Sometimes when we say these things, we must also put it in perspective, because it's the human resource capacity in the country that allow us to do so. We are improving yield, because at the Rice Research Center, 14 new varieties have been developed by our own scientists.
The science and technology drive in the sector also forms a key part of the Agriculture Strategy 2013-2050. The Health Ministry's latest effort to combat non-communicable diseases has seen the launch of its Wellness Warriors program. Non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, have been identified as an emerging public health epidemic. The Wellness Warriors Club comprises predominantly young individuals who are given the necessary training so that they can heighten awareness on NCDs in terms of detection, prevention, treatment, and cure.
We hope to get a young army, a massive army of people who know to do basic things. So when you're talking to Aji and Aja, you say, I'm feeling not too good, I'm a little blurry and so on, sit down, give me a hand, we check the pressure. And then you check the pressure properly. How to put it at the right height, how to how to attach the cuff and so on. So these are things we're hoping to do. So you will be in every part of the society doing things that will promote health and wellness, and with a strong health literacy component. Health literacy means that you will be having special flyers, special posters, special demonstration kits, which you are trained to use. In other words, you're not just sharing out a flyer and say, please read this. If you're challenged in a certain basic way, you can relate what's there and take the information to your mosque, your mandir, your church club, your Sunday school club, wherever you go, or your youth club. In other words, wherever you go, you're a wellness warrior.
Cardiovascular diseases account for most NCD deaths, or 17.3 million people annually, followed by cancers, 7.6 million people, respiratory diseases, 4.2 million, and diabetes, 1.3 million people. These four groups of diseases account for over 70% of all NCD deaths.
These four categories are reinforced by certain things that we do or don't do in our lives. In other words, they're saying that these four categories sometimes are difficult for us to change because of our ethnicity, because of our age, because of our gender. But there are other things that we do, other sins that we do during our daily lives and over the years of our lives that tend to make these diseases more likely to happen.
Caribbean Wellness Day will be celebrated on September 12th with the launch of the Presidential Commission on NCDs. Guyana is on its way to becoming a yachting destination for the second time around. The Hurucabra River Resort will be teaming up with the Ministry of Tourism to host the Nereids Yachting Rally in the Essequibo River from September 5 through 17.
During this year's rally, a yacht measuring 72 feet is expected, making it the largest to ever visit local waters. The yachts will first clear immigration and customs at Bartica, after which they will each set sail to the Hurucabra River Resort, which is a short distance away from Bartica on the west bank of the Essequibo River, where they will anchor. This event will not only seek to put Guyana on the map as a yachting destination, but will seek to expand the possibilities.
As a result of this, the organizer and coordinator of this yachting rally is David Matalacani. He's an Italian/Australian. Why do I mention him in particular? Because he has indicated already to the government and has begun negotiations with the government to invest in a marina boatyard in Guyana. That marina boatyard is planned to come on stream probably in the next 2, at maximum 3 years.
This investment, Nascimento said, can have great benefits for Guyana as a whole. This means that Guyana will be in a position to host yachting rallies for longer periods, as the marina will have the capacity to service and maintain yachts after long journeys. Meanwhile, after Guyana's leg of the Nereids Yachting Rally, the yachts will sail to Suriname and then on to French Guiana.
Chairman of the National Tushaus Council, Derek John, called on Guyanese, regardless of political party or organization, to put their differences aside and work together for the sake of the country. John was specifically referring to the state of affairs in Guyana's parliament.
During an impassioned speech at the launch of American Heritage Month 2014, National Tushaus Council Chairperson Derek John lashed out at the opposition for cutting the 2014 budget of the Amerindian Affairs Ministry.
When we have took to the streets to defend what rightly is ours, there are some of our so-called Amerindian brothers who have condemned us, instead coming and support us. And these are the people who are saying there that they are representing we, the Amerindian people. Where is our representation? When we had needed you, you condemned us. And that is not so, that is not good for the future of our people.
John questioned the supposed unity of Guyanese as reflected by the motto, "One people, one nation, one destiny." Recalling the mobilization of hundreds of Amerindians to protest the budget cuts in front of Parliament, John said it was a stand against prejudice, of which many were critical.
I want to call upon all groups and all people of this land, if we truly are true Guyanese, and if we truly can continue to go back and reflect on our national motto that states one people with one nation with one destiny. So where is the oneness that we proudly profess as a national emblem? Where is our destiny?
He stressed that Guyana could only move forward if there is respect for one another and if all work together.
There's more to come, please stay tuned. Guyana's tourism sector is definitely on the rise. In fact, even in a fledgling stage, it can still rival those of the Caribbean. Now, with an investment of $800 million for the establishment of a hospitality institute, the country is poised to receive even more international recognition.
Parents with school-aged children will achieve a measure of relief with the provision of $10,000 per school year for all school children in the public schools. This from the 2014 budget is in addition to the school uniform voucher, which will continue to be distributed. The provision of $1 billion via the national budget for the execution of cleaning and sanitation works in the nation's municipalities is an indication of government's commitment towards providing a healthy environment and keeping its citizens safe from various diseases spread by insanitary conditions. Half of this amount will be used to clean the capital city of Georgetown and begin the process of restoring it to its former status of the Garden City.
Stakeholders were enlightened on the way forward for branding and marketing following a validation workshop held to discuss Guyana's branding and marketing strategy.
Guyana's products are unique and oftentimes those marketed do not match the brand, hence the implementation of a marketing and branding strategy. Recently, the Ministry of Tourism held a stakeholders validation workshop to discuss what is being proposed for branding Guyana and marketing it.
The government, like TAG, GTA, like TAG, understands the importance of marketing and branding. If we did not understand the importance for marketing and branding, we would never have asked for the competitiveness strategy to be changed to include this consultancy and to make the output of this consultancy part of the action plan in terms of raising Guyana's competitiveness in various sectors. So we are on one table as it relates to branding and marketing.
There is need to develop a culture for the development of the branding and marketing strategy, which involves creating an educational program in the school system. Certification, standards, and registration must also be looked at in this regard. Moreover, the need for greater private-public partnership is also very important for the development of this viable sector.
We cannot continue to fight over the issue of branding and marketing and who has the responsibility and try to place the blame at government foot all the time, and government saying that the private sector also have a role and responsibility in marketing their product. We have a joint responsibility to ensure that a marketing strategy and a branding image of Guyana is created that would make this sector more viable and that would make the sector more profitable for everyone who invests within the sector. So I'm not in any way going to engage now or in the future in any debate on this issue. The issue of marketing must be foremost in both the public and private sector minds. We have this responsibility to ensure we create a viable sector.
While branding and marketing is important in creating a competitive environment, there is need for an incentive regime that matches the marketing and branding strategy that is being developed for Guyana.
The government will be putting in place a number of behavioral change programs aimed at eliminating domestic violence and for partners to better relate to each other.
The Ministry of Human Services and Social Security is in the process of launching a number of anger management classes as well as setting up confidential helpline services to offer advice, information, and support to men and women who abuse their partners. At a recent forum in Region 3, the Men's Affairs Bureau and the Gender-Based Violence Unit of the Ministry of Health hosted a men's forum at which several issues were addressed.
As the time goes by, it promises to be a very exciting, interesting, and interactive discourse and conversation. And so we thank you for your interest, and I'm confident as time goes by we will see even more men pouring into this place because of the importance of the subject matter that we are attempting to address.
The intended impact of the session was prevention through awareness and education. Gender-based violence is a historical phenomenon in many cultures with no limits of age, race, ideology, class, or religion.
Every action that you see is put out, whether it be by a male or a female, there is always the triggering factor to consider. What triggered that person to react in the way that he or she reacted? And what triggers them to do the things that they do? Quite often, and this is something that I have discovered in my professional work, is that there are a lot of people who do things and they don't necessarily know why they're doing it. They really don't know. And in the midst of them carrying out whatever acts that they're carrying out, it is not until they're done doing what they're doing, then they sit down and they say to themselves, well, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have done it this way.
In Guyana, the awareness of domestic violence against women is greatly emphasized. Hence, men need to be more conscious as to what really is domestic violence and the need to find other ways to deal with their anger and mental issues. Through these sessions, the ministry is hoping that persons who need help will come forward.
The Clean Up My Country Program Committee has contracted the Guyana Prison Service to spruce up sections of the Le Repentir Cemetery in Georgetown.
The Clean Up My Country program has commenced executing its scope of works in various parts of Georgetown. The Guyana Prison Service has begun the debushing of Block 7 of the Le Repentir Cemetery.
The Guyana Prison Service, they commenced operating in Block 7, where they're being contracted to debush the entire block, as you're seeing there. 24 inmates have been contracted along with 5 supervising officers to monitor the operations here. In addition to this, we have other contractors who would also commence operating within the cemetery to debush. The idea is to clear out all of the overgrown vegetation, so at least persons can access the cemetery and visit the tombs of their loved ones, without having to go through the hassle.
The prison service is tasked with cutting down the overgrown vegetation, weeding the grass, and removing all bushes in the assigned block of the cemetery, which is bounded by Broad Street to the north, Sussex Street to the south, Louisa Road to the east, and St. Stephen's Street to the south.
Another program that has been also part of this is the removal of the beehives. So far, we've contracted the Guyana Beekeeping Association. As of July 4th, they would have commenced operation and they would have removed 15 hives of Africanized bees. They're also on standby for this exercise today.
The Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development has provided the prison service with tools, safety gear, first aid kits, and water. The contract is expected to come to an end on October 15, 2014. Clean Up My Country is a program undertaken by the Government of Guyana to enhance the aesthetics of the country and Georgetown and to assist in the better management of the garbage crisis in various parts of the capital city by improving the capacity of the mayor and city council.
There's more to come. Please stay tuned.
Guyana is set to achieve the goal set by the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF of universal birth registration by 2015. The General Register Office has launched an intensive campaign. It has decentralized its services to specifically cater to the needs of residents living in the interior location. Bedside registration is also done in several public hospitals. There are now 200 registration centers operating in 10 regions. Citizens are urged to ensure that all births are registered. The modernization of the Justice Administration system, the MJAS project, has been completed through a loan from the Inter-American Development Bank. Achievements made under the project include amended and new laws, training for personnel within the sector, reduction of the severe case backlog, the refurbishing of courts, increased numbers of judicial officers and training, publication of law reports and their indices online, the establishment of a DPP office in Berbice, computerization of several connected systems, among other aspects.
Meanwhile, Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Norman Whitaker, along with other officials, met with vendors of the La Penitence Market to discuss areas of concern and ways in which the ministry can assist them.
Joined by City Engineer Colvorn Venture, Director of Solid Waste Walton O'Ryan, and members of the City Constabulary, along with other members of Local Government Ministry and Member of Parliament Manzoor Nadir, the Local Government Minister met with vendors on the market's tarmac to discuss the issues of garbage collection, replacement of vendors, sanitary facilities, illegal vending and security, among other topics affecting the individuals pursuing their craft at the market. After listening to the concerns of the vendors, the minister advised the individuals on steps that can and should be taken to resolve them. With regard to those issues related to health, the minister assured workers that they will be addressed.
This standard went very good at one time because when the bridge went making, you move all the stand them, got them all over the place. So all where they put it, just stand left. You may go back to places, just at the left. So that's why you see you come and reach like that. They may go back to places where they went. Yeah, that was supposed to be temporary. Yes. Good, and they were supposed to go back. Yeah, people showing me that. Understand? And you can be so bad now that people on the dollar and you got to break up them stand. What happened to these people? No. Well, we advise them to go and see the clerk of market. We advise them to go and see this gentleman here, this
lady, the clerk of market, and to discuss their situation. Because we explained to them that you're there on the reserve. The machine gun come in here and do some work. They agreed that the work important. Good. And so what you're going to do, that bit, we'll discuss it with the market.
One of the major issues focused on by both the staff of the ministry and the vendors was that of garbage collection. The vendors noted that persons living along the market area, along with those traversing the route, would dump their garbage in the bins, causing them to fill up faster, leading to a large amount of waste being left on the actual market. In response to this, the minister noted that there is an increased number of bins that will be added to the area. At the end of the meeting, the minister, along with his team, walked around the market and surrounding areas, inspecting facilities and the general environment.
Time now for Perspectives with Dr. Prem Mizir.
In today's Perspective, I want to talk about GINA, which is suffering unfairly at the hands of the combined opposition, APNU and AFC. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney had a lot to say about the press when President George Bush Sr. was about to nominate him as Secretary of Defense. His thoughts ran along these lines. The White House, through the Office of Communications, has to control its public agenda by promoting the messages it wishes to deliver to the American people. The essence here is that the White House must control the media coverage of the United States government. The White House Office of Communications' main focus is to present the U.S. government effectively through the information it puts out and through the control it has of this information. The White House must not permit the press to set the U.S. president's agenda. The press loves to set the U.S. president's agenda. The press loves to select what is important and what is not important for all Americans. But the White House does not permit this to happen. If it does, the press will rubbish the U.S. presidency and the U.S. government. The U.S. government, like many other governments, needs a public relations arm to promote its agenda. And it does this through the Office of Communications. Similarly, the government of Guyana has the Government Information Agency, known as GINA, that performs its functions as public relations advocate. GINA, over the years, has attempted to execute several of the functions that former U.S. President Dick Cheney spoke about, and which I addressed to and alluded to a few seconds ago. In fact, GINA is the public relations arm of the government of Guyana in the same way as the White House Office of Communications is the public relations advocate of the U.S. presidency. The White House Office of Communications is funded through American taxpayers' dollars. That is through public funds. However, in Guyana, in recent years, the work of GINA has become a victim in the hands of the one-seat majority, APNU and AFC. These opposition parties in Parliament have unfairly attacked the work of GINA. In fact, for a few years now, APNU and AFC have taken away GINA's budgetary allocations in Parliament, depriving many of its staff of a livelihood, and have also suppressed the government's legitimate press relations agency, whose job is to familiarize all Guyanese with the policies, programs, and projects of the Guyana government. As the press relations arm of the government, GINA is expected to control the media coverage of the government of Guyana. Most governments have a press relations agency, but APNU and AFC want to demolish GINA. I thank you very much.
And with that, we've come to the end of this week's program, but before we go, here's a recap of the highlights. Guyana is set to host second yachting rally, city cleanup program continues, and multi-million-dollar labs commission at Monrepo. Remember that Weekly Digest and other government information can be found on our website www.gina.gov.gy, or you can send us your comments and suggestions at ginagovgy@gmail.com. Thank you for watching, and do join us again next week for another program. Goodbye for now.